I really want to cover the NBA predictions heading into the end of 2020, the regular season. As we've seen for today, the regular season is about to occur. We've had preseason with the team in Orlando. There's around 4 games that came across tonight on this Wednesday night. So good things are in the hands of the National Basketball Association. Kicking it in back, we were having some talks and predictions. There's only going to be 8 games left in Orlando, so pretty much what we have for our predictions are pretty much going to be as consistent as can be. So I'm pretty much going to go roll along with this. What we're going to cover is the NBA award predictions, who will and should win in this season for different categories. We're going to kick it off with number 1, the most valuable player in the league. In the very beginning of the season, a lot of people were expecting either Kawhi Leonard, maybe LeBron James in the mix as well. There wasn't really other names thrown out too much consistently. James Harden was always in the mix because he's always been pretty much top 2 in the MVP race for the last 4 to 5 years or so. Starting off in 2015 against Steph Curry. Surprisingly, there wasn't that many names for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but hey, whenever it came to it, Giannis is leading by the pack. LeBron James, he did have a little stunt to where he was creeping back up. The Lakers are number 1 in the West. They're around 49-14 with their record. LeBron's been balling out, but in the very first 15 games of the season, LeBron was very conservative. He was working more to Anthony Davis, be the offensive initiator. And we've seen with LeBron, he had a couple games to where I think around a couple of them, he had like 15 points, 19, a couple, smaller 20-point games. But LeBron really kicked it and picked it back up on offense, let alone to take the league by storm. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's definitely my back-to-back MVP when it comes to it. I think him and LeBron, they're not neck and neck. I think it's more of Giannis around 65 to 70% and LeBron around 30 to 35. I think the regular season never was suspended and LeBron had around those 26, 27 games to finish the season. I think he was having momentum to where the league office and the media and the fans would be able to vote pretty much LeBron to win the MVP, but that wasn't the case. There's only going to be 8 games left in the season. I know there's been around 4 months since basketball, and who knows, maybe the media is going to forget what happened and they're going to vote LeBron James because he's 35 and this is his last MVP opportunity. But no, it should be Giannis Antetokounmpo on both sides of the court. LeBron's been very suspect when it comes to defense for the past couple of seasons. And Giannis is number 1 record in the league overall. So it is what it is. LeBron was having his case, beating the Clippers and the Bucks back-to-back, but rolling with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Shout out to him. Next, we do have the Rookie of the Year. When it comes to the Rookie of the Year, everyone was expecting Zion Williamson. I mean, pretty much unanimously, no doubt about it. He was injured for the first couple of, I think, 2 to 3 months he was out, and he came back for a stunt, playing around 15 games or so, taking the league by storm, averaging over 50 to 60% from the field, taking it inside. His shot has been improved, let alone he's calm, composed, and he's been attacking it on the boards, let alone inside. But Ja Morant's been the story for everyone. He kind of reminds me of Donovan Mitchell in his rookie season, taking the league by storm. And with Ja Morant, he's playing with the Memphis Grizzlies team. There's a bunch of veteran role players in there, not a really good mix. I know in the offseason they're really going to have to look to pair another young stud with him. But Ja Morant's taking the league by storm. If he was in the Eastern Conference, he probably would have made an All-Star appearance, to be honest. But he's got a bright future ahead. The Western Conference is loaded. They're in the number 8 seed. They're probably going to finish off to go against the Lakers in the first round. Kudos to him. If Zion was playing the whole year, then we most likely would have given it to Zion. I would have expected the Pelicans to be a top 6 team if Zion was never hurt. But you got to go with Ja Morant. He's been consistent. He's in the playoffs, and Zion, he had too much time off. All right, next, Coach of the Year. So there's a wide variety of coaches you can go with. You can go with the coach with the Memphis Grizzlies. Some people are throwing in Billy Donovan. I disagree with that. I think it's more of a Chris Paul effect when it comes to it. Mike Budenholzer, you got to give him some credit, but it is it is Giannis and his team. Mike Budenholzer has initiated the offense surrounding shooters around Giannis, moving him to the power forward selection, which is, you got to give him credit. But the Coach of the Year, I believe, should go to Nick Nurse and the Toronto Raptors. They've had the championship foundational team to where they can win without Kawhi Leonard in the regular season and probably a couple games in the playoffs, but going deeper in the playoffs, let alone second, third in the finals, you're going to need a Kawhi Leonard type player. but no one really expected the Raptors to be a second seed. I actually expected the beginning of the season they would finish with the 4th or 5th, and kudos to them. They're up there going against the Milwaukee Bucks, probably going to go in the Eastern Conference Finals. So kudos to Nick Nurse. He's a great coach. He won a championship whenever he was a rookie, and now look at him now. And you got to give consideration to Eric Spoelstra as well. I'm going to throw his name out there. He's very underrated. 6th man of the year. All right, there are 3 different cats that you can go with, and I won't have a problem with. The first being Montrezl Harrell. I know with the Los Angeles Clippers, him and Lou Williams have usually been 6th and 7th men, because they're both off the bench together, very dynamic and explosive, energizer bunnies, let alone great offensive weapons for your team. Lou Williams has won last season, so Montrezl Harrell has picked it up more than him this season, more on the spotlight coming off the bench, because you do have Zubac at the 5, and they really need someone more dominant when it comes to it. Montrezl Harrell has had a great season. He's going to enter being an unrestricted free agent, so he's probably going to leave the Clippers, probably get more money when it comes to it. Maybe the Charlotte Hornets are going to throw him around $20 million or so. But Montrezl Harrell has been a beast off the boards, let alone on the Clippers. A huge advantage for them entering into the playoffs. You can also throw in there Dennis Schroeder. Usually if you go with Montrezl Harrell or Dennis Schroeder, I'm cool, and those are my 2 favorites to win it. I don't really have a quote-unquote preference. But Dennis Schroeder has been electric with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Coming off the bench, you do have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chris Paul in the backcourt. But Dennis Schroeder, he brings that Reggie Jackson 2.0 in 2013 type flow with the Thunder, as well as he was on that team. Dennis Schroeder, he's been a starting player, let alone a 6th man with the Atlanta Hawks, Mike Budenholzer, and he stepped it up big time within being on the Thunder. So kudos to him. I would have to roll with Dennis Schroeder, but if not, Montrezl Harrell, I'm cool with. Most improved player. I only got 2 players when it comes to this. Listen, whenever it comes to the most improved player, I don't include like a Luka Doncic to where he was borderline all-star, but then he jumped to a superstar. I usually look at players that were just role players, then they turn into an instant all-star or star player. I mean, Chris Middleton's a great example from last season. But for this season here, I'm going to throw out 2 players, Brandon Ingram and Bam Adebayo. For this selection, I'm cool if you go with either or. Brandon Ingram really had the first half of the season on deck when Zion was out. He had the green light and easily scoring over 23 to 24 points per game. And the Pelicans were struggling, but Brandon Ingram was really emerging as that first-time All-Star. Bam Adebayo, the starting center for the Miami Heat. He's been electric whenever it comes to it. He got his first All-Star appearance. Kudos to him. I'm going to roll with him whenever it comes to here. All right, next we do have the Defensive Player of the Year. So in the very beginning of the season, everyone was going for Anthony Davis. He pretty much let it out there in the media. Everyone knows he was going for it. And he was electric for the first couple games of the season, let alone the first half. And he will give you around 2.6 blocks per game, which he is averaging currently. Him and JaVale McGee have been electric as the Twin Towers for the Los Angeles Lakers. One of the better teams defensively. His name is thrown out there. Rudy Gobert, you got to go with him as well, being a name of consideration. But for this season, guys, and I believe this should have been last season, but Giannis Antetokounmpo, I expect him to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, being one of the first players since Michael Jordan. And I believe it was Akeem Olajuwon, if I'm not mistaken. And LeBron James was close in 2013, but Marc Gasol somehow won it. And whenever Marc Gasol won Defensive Player of the Year in 2013, he wasn't even first team all defense in the NBA, which is crazy. But I'm going to roll with Giannis Antetokounmpo. We've seen the Bucks are one of the best defensive teams in the NBA with their length, usually with the anchor of Giannis Antetokounmpo, which he can be able to switch off to different players. And he will give you 2 blocks easily in a game, at least easily. But those are all the awards I have for my predictions. I know there's going to be 8 games left of the regular season rolling into Orlando. I don't expect much difference, let alone if LeBron wins all 8 games and maybe Giannis gets hurt all 8 games or does terribly, I could see the media kind of skew it, but I don't see how Giannis can be able to lose MVP, let alone these other awards. I think one that could be really debated is the Defensive Player of the Year within these last 8 games, and let alone maybe the Most Improved Player. Besides that, I do have that as my NBA award predictions. And rolling into the playoffs, I'll make another video for another day. But I'm expecting in the conference finals with the Lakers and Clippers and the Raptors and the Bucks. But hey, I want to see how these teams play out in the preseason, let alone the regular season, and we can be able to check out from there.